Ready.
Hello, guys. Welcome. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Welcome. You are all welcome to turn on your cameras, though this webinar is recorded, so you have to be aware of this. But having even one person with the camera on would be really nice. Then, then we'll focus on Simon and your emotional reactions here. So we can read the audience a bit. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm letting still people in, so please give me a sec. Mirko is here. Okay, so my co-host. Hello, Mirko. Hi.
Sorry. I'm super late, guys.
No, you are not. You are 10 seconds late, so
it's
I
okay.
think your apologies will take longer than.
How are you?
I will make you a co-host, so that you can take from me maybe this noble task of letting people in.
Yeah.
Who are late. Okay, guys, welcome to this webinar. It will be really casual and in a form of a dialogue with Per Halros, so the guy from the gang, ex-Futuregames student, so our alumni. Mirko Minenza is my co-host and wingman here today, and my name is Piotr Matecki. I'm the head of Futuregames in Warsaw, and I'm responsible for business development of Futuregames as a whole right now. I'm still admitting. Mirko, could you take over admitting people here, maybe?
I can. Yep.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Do that.
Okay, we are meeting here because this story is really remarkable, and it's kind of shows the essence of what we want to achieve here in Futuregames as a game dev school. So before I will invite Mirko and Per to, we prepare some question, and we will be grilling Per about the whole journey with out of sight the game. Let me just make a short presentation of Futuregames as a school, as an ecosystem, as a place to where you can basically jumpstart your game dev career. These webinars also help us to do the marketing and recruit people. So apologies, but there is time for advertising at the beginning, as you know, every good movie has it. So guys, 22 years of history in Sweden, building our relationships with the industry, being organic part of this growth of Swedish game dev ecosystem. Right now, we optimize our schools. We had to close 2 of them, but we have still strong position in Sweden, in Umeå, Malmö, Boden, and Stockholm. Our rough estimation says that 14% of Swedish game dev industry are Futuregames alumni, so which is really, we are proud of it. So we have hundreds of students out there working for the industry. And Futuregames in Warsaw is the first step outpost outside of Sweden, and we are targeting in Warsaw mainly international students with 26 different nationalities on site here. We are really international hub, and we are growing. We are making next steps towards MENA region, and hopefully next year we will open in Dubai or Morocco. So this is our plan, and we make a commitment to open another school. The way we do things and how we do it is we inspire our students to join the events, be close to the industry, shake hands, be out there, network, use LinkedIn as their tool, and I dare to say it pays off. And I will be really happy to delve into discussion with Per, what was his approach and how you made it to the industry. But I have, of course, most of the pictures from Warsaw because I run the show here. But this is what's happening all over our schools. We are being visited by industry experts, giving lectures, guest lectures. We team up with student organizations, organize and are part of and partner up with game jams. So this is our attitude, and this is what pays off. We start to be very active in different fields with running that kind of webinar like today. Our strategic partner is CD Projekt Red. We have 15 webinars already conducted with them. So if you want some substantial insiders knowledge from CD Projekt experts, I encourage you to scroll through our wall on LinkedIn or on Instagram. You will find recordings of these webinars with programmers, designers, artists, HR people from CD Projekt. And we also emphasize this aspect of games, like going beyond entertainment. So we try to be close to the ideas behind games for change. We support women in games ambassadors, organizing events at school, and we are all about inclusivity, diversity. So people like Kate Edwards are showing up, giving lectures, and helping our multinational crowd to align and create meaningful projects. And speaking of projects, where we are heading to the crown jewel, so the Out of Sight project. But let me tell you quickly how did it. And here, Per, you are free to correct me if I'm wrong, if I mess up anything. But this is how it works for the last 2 years in Warsaw and Swedish cooperation. Our students create 4 games during 2.5-year education, 2 in Unity, 2 in Unreal. So we basically produce 100 games a year. There are teams of 16 up to 20 people, artists, designers, programmers, QAs, producers, right now new education producer, and we mix them up, and there's cross-site cooperation, and it's basically all these projects are conducted on a pipeline that reflects real studio. It's like simulation of real studio environment with alpha, beta, golden build, playtesting, and at the end jury day, when we invite industry experts to sit in the jury and listen to pitches delivered by our students. So at the end of this project, every student also have to take responsibility for the creation they delivered. And these game projects are also very often in cooperation with companies, so they are driven and by the themes offered by the companies. Playtesting, as I said, so this is like a vivid, very intensive period in school when we basically turn into indie studio on steroids, and our games are land on each, they are published on each, and you can test them, play them for free on each, and check the quality. We also have this Think recruitment process. This is our own format for recruitment and helping our students to get internship, which is the last semester of the education. This is basically like speed dating for the industry and our students, when we filter out, according to recruiters' needs, the portfolios, and we basically deliver on silver plate our talent. And recruiters just show up for 15 minutes interviews with chosen people, and it really plays nice in Warsaw. Last year, almost all our students got internship, and many of them are already got hired. So yeah, I'm about to finish. Just this is the slide I wanted to share with you, showing like the connection with the industry. So Hazelight is a studio which is really close to Futuregames, built on our interns in a big degree. Per Stenbeck, lead designer in Hazelight, is our alumni as well. Similar story with Starbreeze and Payday, so very substantial influence, like impact on the game from our students working for them, and Warhammer, similar story. It all turns into 96% employability factor. Of course, this was measured before the layoffs and the crisis that hit us all lately, but for years we were on this level. But this was one of the scenarios when students get hard skills, develop their soft skills, then they go on this recruitment process, and they land the job in the AAA, AA indie studios. But there's another track, and Per is like an example of it in a way, or something like even new model, blueprint for new scenario, because some of the students open their studios. This is a good example. How Fish is Made was also a student project. It turned into published game, picked up by Hideo Kojima, and team noticed 85,000 downloads, and Wrong Organ, the company, was born right now with the mouthwash. They are really successful studio already. So I hope we'll have webinar with them too soon. But focusing on out of sight, and I'm getting off the way of Mirko and Per soon. Just facts, right? So created as a student project. It was picked up by the members of the gang being on the jury, and students were hired, students from this team. And the game was then developed into full-fledged project, and with the help of Starbreeze, published on Steam. And the release was on May 22nd, and the game is doing really well right now on Steam, right? So guys, thank you very much. If you want to join our ecosystem, our school, I will share with you link in the chat and direct email. We still run recruitment. And right now let's focus on our guest and this amazing story. And Mirko, I know you have great questions. I invited you because you know the industry really,
Wow,
back
I'm
and
blushing
forth,
right now.
back and forth, and your mission is to create this space for young talents to enter the industry, right? So I thought it will be really good match to have you as my wingman to ask questions to Per. And
Oh yeah. So first off, thanks for having me. Super brief intro about myself for those who don't know me. I'm a massive nerd, aspiring to be professional player at Tekken and Overwatch. Sadly, never been good enough to make a living out of it. I was, not even being able to afford pasta, and in Italy it's kind of a crime if you don't do it. So I said, okay, let's move to something different. And I've been working as a recruiter in games for 3 years, working for AAA companies like Techland and Bohemia Interactive, for some smaller studios, a little bit of everything. And right now I'm a professor, like employability teacher at ISDE University, and I founded a non-profit community named Playhire, where we try to help students get a job in games with basically these kind of initiatives. Futuregames is the best school that I'm aware of. They're super cool, so I'm very, very happy all the time to contribute to all the events and initiatives that you do, because I seriously believe this is like how education should be provided, not only just in terms of providing you the tool to learn, but also supporting you in then finding your, in building your own career in games. And Piotr, you are super good at it. So it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. And Per, yeah, you are the MVP here. So thanks. Like the story behind what you built along with the other guys in the team actually mesmerized me. But I'm super, super curious to kick off if you want. And basically, if you give us a little bit of like intro about how everything started, right? Like at the beginning, what's the story behind the game, and how did you come up with the idea? Just to have some context, because it's interesting.
For sure, for sure. So hello everyone, my name is Per, and I'm working at The Gang, and we made Out of Sight, of course. Started my Futuregames studies in spring of 2021. So graduated 2 years after that. So yeah, I'm an alumni now, and super nice to be here, of course. But the game Out of Sight, it really took off. It came to life when we had our third and last. For me, it was the last one, our third game project at Futuregames. So that was in our last semester, and that was really interesting. We had 6 weeks because we had like a winter transition where everyone had to go on winter break. So we were supposed to have 7 weeks, but that didn't really happen, unfortunately. But it was okay. So we sat down in the team, and when you have such short time to come up with a good idea, you really just have to go with your guts. But we came up with this concept when one of our team members they read an article saying, what is second person perspective? And so that's really how the whole thing came to be. She found this really interesting article, and it said, how can it take the form of a video game? Because it's from the you perspective. That's how it's really emphasized. But our interpretation of that becomes the eyes that you see from do not belong to the character that you control. So we found this dynamic between two characters, and that's what we explored in the school project. And we just fell in love with the idea, really.
Wow. And how did it work with the development? Like you say, okay, we want to do this kind of stuff. It seems super interesting. What's like the milestone that you say, okay, this is the idea, and now we want to make maybe the vertical slice or the first part of the game, and then how like the process of making the game happened? I'm super curious.
So like I said, it was very fast because you have a limited time, but it was very close that it didn't even make that game. So we had two to choose from. We had Out of Sight and we had a very generic tower defense game. But then once it came down to, okay, which one are we actually doing? We had like 4 or 5 days of figuring this out, doing some very quick and fast prototypes. And then we realized, no, we need to do Out of Sight because we've already seen games like the other game. Let's do something that's not like other games. So that's the whole reason why we decided to go for it. And then it was very quick iterations of just the levels. So we knew the main mechanic. That almost gave itself to us when we come up with this concept between the characters, and that's really all we had to focus on. And then we went into production. We're in week 1 still, right? Here. So it yeah, just trying out some different levels, getting some very early feedback. I think that was the most valuable stuff we could get. And yeah, everything we made in the beginning got scrapped basically, but then improved upon, of course, for the final version.
Okay, okay. You were taking care of the design part, and how many were you like in the team? I didn't ask this, like super curious.
Yeah, so we were 8 people in total,
Okay.
4 designers and 4 artists. Unfortunately, we did not have programmers, but our design class got very adamant at making our own blueprints and stuff in the Unreal Engine where we made the project. So that wasn't really a problem for us. But I was elected the project owner or project lead
Okay.
for this good project as well.
So
yeah.
wow. All right. So it was your first like leadership experience, because I believe it's quite complex to manage 8 people. Like I tried, like professionally speaking, I've been a team leader for a while, like for a year, and for me I had to manage 4 people, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. So imagine 8, I would see like it would be crazy. Like how did you handle the production slash making sure that everyone were doing doing their own stuff, but also getting along together with the other people? Like I think it's challenging.
These were times in Futuregames when we didn't have game producer education, so designers had to take this role on them. It was a painful process for my designers, also, for example, because they didn't have time to do their own work as designers very often. So how was it for you, Per?
Yeah, it's very it's not what I expected going into Futuregames, but I was very happily surprised that I got that experience as well, honestly, because I was lucky enough to get elected project lead or product owner for all of my game projects. So this was the 3rd time for me. I felt ahead a bit. I knew what I was getting into a little bit, at least, when we started the project, and I think for me, I'm very inclusive when it comes to my leadership style. So I'm very keen on everyone getting over. We never want to have like one person deciding this is the game, right? Because then some people might not be on board and have other ideas that can be better. And if you're not listening to that, then you are making it worse for yourself, right? But I think we had a good team structure. Everyone was very willing, and everyone loved the idea. I think that was the biggest key to success. Everyone got really, we were just a randomized team of people, right? We didn't really know everyone. I might have worked with one person in one other game project, but for the most part, everyone was new to this setup.
Gotcha. By the way, guys, like I know that we didn't mention it first, but I guess Piotr, we can say that if anyone has a question or you're curious, just like pop it in the chat or like literally turn on the camera or the microphone and ask us. Like it's a free space, I guess. So don't be shy. Eventually, that we're just chatting.
Open formula today, just a discussion. And
yeah. So don't be shy on that. And all right, I'm curious because sometimes basically you try stuff, but you're not very sure about the outcome at the end. So I assume at some point you had a moment when you thought, okay, this could be a very interesting game. We built something that is actually really interesting. And so what was the process from we have this cool prototype to we now need to find a publisher, because this, in our opinion, could be a very successful game. So how this process from doing this school project turned into we want to make a proper game and get published, then published on Steam, and happy days. How did it happen?
It was a very rocky road, honestly, because when we were still in school, during the school project, we had very mixed feedback of the project.
Yeah.
We had some teachers or some guest teachers coming in, but it was of course very rough state the game, saying this is one of the stupidest things they've ever seen. uh, but we already know that this has something. It couldn't really reflect in the final product, maybe. Also, when it's those kind of atmospheric tension games, it really comes around in the end once you have all the elements in. It's hard to judge the cover without like feeling the experience. But we knew, we like the team never got discouraged by those comments. But we had regular feedbacks with our classmates as well, and they were loving it. The concept of it, right? So we knew the concept is really strong. We just need to execute it in a good way. So we just kept on going, kept on staying focused, finished the product. But it wasn't until after the school project when we realized this is actually something nice, something really good, because we are just working so hard, just trying to finish it, right? And then we uploaded it to itch.io, and that's when it really we realized this has potential. So it wasn't until after the school project was done.
Okay, what happened when you put it on itch.io? It got attention, traction. What happened?
Exactly. It got picked up by some YouTubers, and then it got picked up by a lot of YouTubers. And then it kind of took off a bit on its own. Got a couple of thousand of downloads, people trying out the game. But we remember, like, I think it was like 2 or 3 days after the game project, we were gathering again in school, and someone had found a YouTube clip of our game.
Yeah.
And then we sat together and we saw another one, and then another one, and then another one, and they were linking their YouTubes to the itch page as well, so we could easily keep track. So we made like a long playlist, or I don't know how 150 videos or something, people playing and making videos. So we were really excited. That's when we thought, okay, this really is this is a game, right? A big game that people like.
Wow, that's very. I was a very smart move to move on social medias, right? Like you can actually leverage it as a student, but even if you don't have big money, you can still create content. And if it goes viral, like in this case,
Yeah.
it's like super successful. But at the very end, I also assume not everything went smoothly. You mentioned right at the beginning of the product, like the game was like a bit clunky and yada yada. So, do you think you made some mistakes that maybe you realized just after, and if you were coming back, you would probably not do them again? Or would you like, for example, to give this advice to any student here that is trying to make their own games? Guys, don't do this because we did it and it didn't work. So what would you do differently eventually?
I think the biggest takeaway there is learning to scope your project. I think that's a very big thing to take away, especially as a student. When you have you have very limited time, like 6 or 7 weeks. Like you don't have much time, so you need to really make sure you have a tight and polished product. If it's something you want to go forward with, or like possibly show players, right? You can't expect people to like your game. You can't expect people to understand your game. So they don't know how it works. So you need to make sure that whatever they get to experience has that kind of polished flair to it. I think that really is something you should aspire to, and that you can only achieve that if you do smaller scope projects.
So like not trying to build the next GTA, I guess, was a smart.
Yeah, probably not the best idea if you have 7 weeks to do it. Not the part of the school project, but during my studies at Futuregames, I was working on a project for almost 6 months, and it was way too big, like on my separate time with a couple of friends, and barely got anywhere because it was too big of a project, too big concept to make justice. So that was definitely a bad move on my part. I should much rather have tried a bunch of different other smaller stuff than focus on one specific genre for a long time and then not getting a product out of it. Right?
Makes super sense. And so if you can, the chance to go back to your day one at Futuregames, right? What advice would you give to yourself or potentially to someone here to say, hey, I want to join Futuregames, and the day I start, I should not do this or I should do this? I know it's kind of hard, like self-reflecting question. I try to do it myself sometimes, but it's cool, to self-reflect.
I think I'm leaning into what I just said. I think you need to just trust the experience a bit, because you might come in and think, I have such a cool game idea, I just want to make it. right? Or you come in and you don't know anything about games. And both are super valid, right? Because everyone has game ideas, everyone has good ideas, but it's whenever you come to the game, how's it called? The game jams, game courses, like this thing, game projects, sorry, game projects.
Yeah.
You need to be humble, I think, because you can't dictate what everyone's going to do. You need to find that balance where everyone is interested and everyone likes what you're doing, and be able to scope it correctly. So, yeah, I think let yourself learn from other people. Let yourself be inspired by other people. Don't stick to your perceptions of this is what I like. This is the kind of games I want to make. Like, then you're probably gonna lock yourself in a corner. And if you do that, you limit yourself a lot.
Oh,
So you need to have an open mindset and be prepared to try stuff that you maybe don't play yourself, right?
that's super valuable. Also, because as a matter of fact, like the people that are teaching at Future Games, they are people that have many, many years of experience in the industry. So realistically speaking, they kind of know better than you, I guess, when you're getting started, what works and what not. And I can tell it by experience because first I like met them and they also spoke in some, like we did some events together. So I really realized that. So if you come with an attitude of saying, hey, these guys can really, really teach me how things are really working out, not just from my fun perspective of what a game should be, but also what the market wants. And it's very important nowadays, in my opinion, to create games that also people like, not just you like, because otherwise you're going to fail because the game is a product that you sell, really, unless you're like, I know, charity. So these guys can help you out on that, and they do it pretty well. So it's super solid advice, 100%.
Yeah, it's nice. But also your fellow students, I think, is because you spend most time with them, right?
Yeah.
During your studies, and I think that was the strongest takeaway I have from all my time at Future Games was learning from my classmates.
Wow.
Because people come in with different experiences and different ambitions, but you're there and you have so much time together during these 2.5 years, and you have unlimited potential to learn from every single person in that room, which is truly an amazing thing. So really utilize that. Ask people questions. Like if you get stuck on something, just ask someone or ask them to try out your stuff. Take feedback. Yeah, it's finding that discipline to want to help each other really elevates the whole like class.
Wow, that's super solid, and doesn't happen every day. Like, to be honest, I never experienced many places where you could really grow together as a team, which is basically what happens then in the companies, like in the gaming proper studios, I guess, which is cool. But did you already knew that you wanted to become a game developer before joining Future Games, or how did you end up saying, hey, I want to make games, so I want to find a super cool school to help me making games?
Kind of, not really. Like 2 years I joined Future Games, they had no clue that I was going to end up working in video games. I didn't really see that as a potential even, because it feels like this magical thing that
Yes.
just like, oh, people actually make these games, right? And oh, they make it like here in my country as well. And that became such I remember it was my mom actually who suggested, why don't you work in video games? I was like, that's not possible, right?
Yeah.
But it is, and it's the best thing ever. So I didn't know, but then I
Greetings to
started
your
like,
mom. Greetings to your mom, really.
Yeah, I was
okay,
about to
yeah.
say
Very
my mother was
supportive.
the opposite.
No, she was really. She understands me. She knows you play a lot of games. You're really interested. I knew I wanted to work in media, but I was always imagining like film or TV. But then she nudged me in this direction, and then I fell in love like straight away once I realized it was possible.
Brilliant. All right, all right. Well, to me, the experience was quite different. I was playing Overwatch the whole day. My mom was like, "Are you playing again?" I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, but I'm good at it. I don't give a shit." Like, sorry, I'm not supposed to say that or that, but whatever. Like, it's interesting. Okay, okay, awesome. And so we reached a point where the game, like, you realize you have social proof that the game is getting traction. You have numbers. You have YouTubers playing your game, and people are talking about it, which is an amazing sign. Uh, then what happened? You say, okay, guys, we really need to now take this seriously. How did you manage to find the interest, for example, of The Gang, right? Which was the first studio that gave you a shot and helped you making the game a reality, also from a publishing perspective.
Yeah, it really started when because we got this traction from YouTube and on itch, and that got us to submit the game to competitions. So we entered all the hobby or indie categories that we could find, but the biggest one was the Swedish Game Awards 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we entered, and we didn't expect anything because in our minds it was just a school project, right? But that's not true. Like any game can come from anywhere, so it doesn't matter, right? But we applied, and then we got nominated for 5 categories, and that blew our minds, right? But we went there. We didn't have any high expectations. It's just nice to be there. We get to go to a gala, it's cool. But then we ended up winning 4 awards there, including Game of the Year. So that got us a ticket into what's it called? A investor pitch event, basically. So they featured us there, room on a stage with a room full of suits, and they show us up on the stage and pitch our game to them. And that's
Wow.
how we got in contact with The Gang.
It must have been hard, right? Like you, as a student, usually you have no idea how the investment part or the publishing. Did you maybe ask a little bit of like support from people at Futuregames, or I don't know, like some other peers? Because I assume it was hard.
It was because we were still studying, right? We were just about to start our internships as well. So we were doing both things at the same time. But we got some help from the Dataspelsbranschen. It's a Swedish company. They are very closely connected with the Stockholm Futuregames. They were the ones who organized the Swedish Game Awards. So we got help from them with a guy who helped us create the pitch and what to focus on in the pitch. We still put our content in there, of course, but he helped us with so you need something about numbers, something about this, and something about this. So he gave us some guidelines, and then we made the pitch from that.
Wow. So basically through the school, you got the contact of the right person to speak with, and these guys helped you building the pitch, which again, even if I'm building my own startup and I'm struggling with that. So perhaps I'm going to pick you up on the guy name because, I know how hard it is. Okay, cool. And now let's say you have the pitch. You say, all right, it's time to go with the big guys and try to, be as much cool as we can. And so how the first conversation with The Gang went, right? Like, and the whole investment part.
It was very interesting because we had one of our team members, Simon. He was actually an intern at The Gang at the time.
Yeah.
Like I say, we were interning in different studios, all of us. So it was this hard thing as well. Okay, now we have someone who's interested. Do we give up our internships to pursue this? Right? That's another question we had to consider. But then one of the founders, Gustav, he reached out to Simon and got in a meeting with us. We went to one of their meeting rooms, and they basically said that they really loved the idea, and if you're interested, we would like you to come to us and stay your team and make your game, but under our banner, right? Which to us was a dream.
Yes, exactly.
But we had some other discussions as well with other people. I think we did a total of 3 or 4 pitches. One of them was the Dragon's Den pitch contest, where we won a trip to GDC as well. So we got to go there and have a lot of fun. But yeah, so we had some interested people on the hook, but none of them really gave us this partnership that The Gang wanted to be with us, which was really, really unique and very nice.
Wow, yeah, you must have use the champagne, like, yeah, let's go. With that day it was like Formula One winning championship day. Oh, nice. And so, okay, cool. And basically right after you say, okay, we have the gang is like supporting us. And then what will happen next? Like you said, you're gonna work with one of the best Swedish gaming companies, and you just moved to their office, and you were building keep building the game together with some people from there. Like you basically integrated with the team over there, and you had some support. Like how? Because I never heard about this, so it's quite a unique story.
Yeah, so we made this decision then because we were still 8 people doing these discussions, and then like I said, we had to juggle this. Do we leave our internships and pursue this, or do we? Anyone wants to stay right where they are. So not everyone joined the journey. So 6 of us kept going and joined the gang, and there we made a whole new team basically within our
Yep.
organization. So they put us in their research and development department, which has recently started up there, or they had when we joined. So they made us a whole new team because they wanted the team, right? That's what they were after. The team who came up with this game. So they put a team there, but we already had an agreement that we were gonna need to do some more acquisitions because we are not full strength anymore, and also we've never made a full scale game before, so we don't really know exactly what we're doing, right? Yeah.
And they agreed on that. Like they helped you on this.
Have you been assigned like senior people also to your teams to to help you level up with the whole concept?
We did get so we got, in terms of seniority, we got 3 people, 1 programmer, 1 artist, and a producer that came in and shake things up a bit and got us on a very how do you say, military track, production track, but in a great sense, so that was really nice. But in terms of the actual core of the team still remained the same. It was the 6 of us, and then we actually hired 2 more of our classmates from Futuregames.
Yeah.
1 artist and 1 animator came in, and the team has expanded since then as well, with interns coming in and then getting employed. Yeah, so we've been growing. I think we at the peak we were like 15 people working. Now we're down to 10 some people on different projects, and we lent some people from the rest of the gang. I think the strength we had working under this organization is that they are a lot of people with a lot of experience in different parts. The main bulk of the company, of course, is doing Roblox related projects, but they're always just a Slack message away if you have any questions, right? Or if you want mentorship, you can get it.
That's awesome. So basically, like you had the chance to build this own team, and most of the people are from Futuregames. Like when you were hiring, you say, okay, we need more people from Futuregames, and so basically the whole student team built a game that now is going super well. Wow, that's impressive. And how about Starbreeze? Like, how did they join the project? What happened then?
It's actually funny because I did my internship at Starbreeze.
Okay.
So for me, it kind of went full circle. But that was our what do you say, our CEO at the time, because we had this good product that we are working on, but we didn't have the capacity in-house at the gang to do self-publishing. So we realized kind of quickly that that's a lot of work that we don't have the bandwidth for. So they set out in search of publishers, and then they got in contact with Starbreeze, and they were hooked instantly. Because it's a game they know about. It was in the talkings when I was an intern there, of course, talking to my leads. I need to go on a pitch now, and I need to go do this now. So they have known about it for a long time. So when we came knocking on their door, they were very interested, and yeah, it was a good fit for everyone.
No, I like because the school was basically linking all the parts of the project, like from the student side, from the company side, from the support in terms of investors and seniors. So basically, with this middle ground, you will be able to do this, which is a great way on. Because one of the things that I preach the most is the networking part, right? Mm-hmm. Especially which is what I didn't do while I was studying. It's my biggest regret. I didn't network as much as I had to, so it was very hard for me to get started. You actually did this in a way better way, and so that's how it exploded, we can say. And also with the support of the school that promotes networking events like this one. So keeping up on that, how important was for you to try to build this relationship with these people and then to nurture them and to try to meet new people in order to open opportunities within the school, but also maybe later when the school opened you some doors?
I think, yeah, networking is very important. I have a very casual approach to it, but I never miss a networking event, right? I always go to as many events as I can, especially if it's like a big party kind of thing. Because you just go there and you hang out, you talk to some of your friends, you meet some new people. But the key is engagement, right? You just don't go to one, you want to do as many as you can.
Yeah.
Because the more times you show up, the more the chances that someone recognizes you, and that's when you can kick off the conversations. So I don't go there with an agenda trying to force myself onto like a recruiter or trying to stand out. I think the key is consistency there and getting your face out there, getting your product's face out there as well. It comes both circles, right? That's how you get people to remember it and remember you.
I love this. I actually like to use a metaphor, which is basically doing networking is pretty much like going to the gym. Like you don't see it's an effort because you need to invest time in joining events, going to talk to people, doing stuff, which usually is fun. But some people say, yeah, I might play, I don't know, cyberpunk in the meantime, right? I could have my time. So I voluntarily choose to give up some of my free time to do this networking stuff. And you don't see the immediate result because you don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know if these people will give you a job. You don't see the value of attending these events or trying to speak with people. But the more you do it, and if you do it consistently, after 6 months or 1 year, you will have the chance to, yield the fruits out of it, which will happen with you. And it's basically like going to the gym, right? If you go to the gym and you work out for 6 hours a day, you don't become Cristiano Ronaldo. But if you do it consistently for months or years, then, which I like the metaphor, and I think you applied it super well. And
I think it's really, really good. It's a case like even if you don't talk to every single person, because that's not what you don't have to do that, right? But just if you're just there, like over time they will recognize your face, and then once you apply to that job in 2 years, that recruiter can recognize your face and say, "Oh, I know that person from somewhere. Let me have a look at that resume," right?
Yeah, absolutely. Or you can easily like pick them up. Like, hey, we just met 1 year ago. How's it going? Well. By the way, I saw your position open. This is my CV. I think it might be a fit. What do you think? So it's way easier. I love it. Okay, but now thinking back, like this went very well, but I assume there were also some moments where you said, maybe I should give up, or it's becoming too challenging, or it's becoming too big for me. Did you have any moment where you really thought, I don't know if this is what I want to do, or is this the right path for me?
I think the first 6 months of our production, when we were with the gang and making Out of Sight, the full feature, I took a lot of responsibility upon my shoulders that I didn't have to take, because I think a big thing you need to learn as well that game development is teamwork. Right?
Yeah.
Very, very, very few people succeed in making their own game. Especially, it depends on the scale, of course, but I think, yeah, teamwork is what you need to strive for, but it's hard to do that unless you trust your teammates. So I think establishing trust is a very big thing, which I just had to remind myself that like everyone is here and we're all fighting for the same reasons. So I don't need to take everyone's responsibilities upon my shoulders. I'll trust them that they also want the same thing that I want, which always was the case, of course. I just needed to remind myself of that, and then I could relax a bit more and just enjoy working again.
Wow, that's fabulous. And on this regard, like, did you found that Futuregames was helping out on that? Like, it created an environment where you were okay in like reaching out to people, or it was actually even the opposite, like promoting, like incentivizing you speaking with people and creating this teamwork strength that at the end of the day then become the superpower of the game, the successful game. So do you think this helped you along the way, the school?
For sure, for sure. Like I said, I was fortunate enough to be the lead for all my game projects, but that's not where I learned most. And most was just day-to-day communication and collaboration with my friends. Right? Even though you have an assignment, everyone's doing my assignment, right? But you can still talk to everyone else and say, okay, what do you think about this? How are you doing this? It's not like about anything about like getting the best grade or taking from anyone else's inspiration. It's just more about, okay, how would you approach this problem that I have, right?
Yeah.
And how can I solve this? And if you don't know straight away, that's a good thing, right? Because that means you can still improve, you can learn this, and almost nobody knows what they're doing. So that's a strength, right?
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
can learn from
Piotr,
each other.
see there.
Yeah, guys, you have a nice flow here, but I'm really curious, Per, about your reflection on how your mindset has changed from like when you joined the school and to when you finish the school, because basically what you are saying is like I wouldn't scripted it better. When I was, if I was to pep talk my students and say what's important, the soft skills, we grill it like every day, every week. And it seems so like organic and natural when you say it as an outcome of this course. But what was your mindset and expectations when you started? Because for me, it's a very interesting journey as a head of the school, also to observe people who come with some, expectations, mindset, and some attitude. And I observe like they are changing really big time over 2 years. They turn into team players. They are more cautious. Their ears are bigger. They are listening. They are trying to align with each other. I wonder if you reflected on what journey, like in your mind, you did throughout the course.
Yeah, it was for sure massive. I like night and day difference because when I started, um, so the reason I joined Futuregames was because I really wanted some practical skills. Because I said I wanted to work in media. I have some prior education in that, but I was lacking this technical skills to be, in my mind, a valued asset to a game production studio. Um, so that's what I really went out there with the goal of acquiring. So once I started, I didn't have any really expectations of, okay, I want to make this game. I'm only gonna do this, or I'm only gonna do like narrative. I'm only gonna do levels. I was just in there to absorb, I think, was my mindset when I went in. I want to learn as much as possible so that I am as adaptive as possible and flexible as possible. Um, but I don't think that's very. I'm for sure not unique in this, but I think it's a really big strength just to be humble when it comes to what you know. Um, and if you don't know anything, that's also good, right? Because you might have a different perspective on stuff than people who have know how this works, and then you can go like, what about this? Um, so I think, yeah, seeing my journey from when I started, um, I just went in there and I valued my own opinions, but I never wanted to step on anyone's feet, basically. So coming in, we went to the first game uh, project. I was elected the product owner, not because I had the best idea or I could like push an agenda. It was because I think I let people in, and then I learned from them basically. So what I had to organize was the schedules, right, to make sure everyone was on the same page at all times, and then I could just absorb from everyone else's knowledge while I did my tasks as well, right? So collaboration for me has always been key, and that's how I learned everything as well about game development. Because I had only opened Unreal Engine when I made my degree or like application project. So making the application was the first time I opened Unreal Engine. Um, and that it was okay, but it wasn't mind blowing. But it was an interesting idea. But now I'm confident that whatever problem is thrown at me, I have a team to back me up, right? And if I don't know how to fix something, I just find out how, right? So problems are just temporary, basically. Um,
It seems
and I
like
think that's the biggest.
you started already with a very mature mindset, I would say, because I observe some students are really like, a bit self-centered, like they're coming here just to get some hard skills, craft, etc. They are not aware of this aspect, and I observed some of them. And for me, it was very rewarding to talk to recruiters after our Think recruitment event, And the lady from AAA studio left the interview, and she said, "Wow, it's the first time I, interview programmer who's talking about soft skills all the time, all the interview, and reflecting on how he changed, throughout the process and game projects. He began as an asshole, but then people didn't cooperate with him, so he, became. So it was really rewarding, to see how people realize what this course is really about, and this school. So
Yeah.
it looks like it came really natural for you, like you're a natural communicator, right? And yeah.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't. Yeah, but I think that's speaking about recruiters, and Mirko, you're the leader here for this. But I think what people really are looking for is a teammate, right? They want a colleague that knows their field, and not just the best of the best in their class, but then they are just locked away doing their stuff. They need to be able to collaborate with the rest of the team in order to make these features happen, right? So even though there are some really talented people out there who will do great things, I think everyone has the talent, but it's really the teamwork that sets you apart.
Amen.
Awesome. Any questions from the chat, guys? If you have any questions, like to somebody that was basically just like you a couple of years ago, and then shipped a game that was super successful. So if you're curious, just drop it in the chat. We can read it. There is Christian asking us, what GP3 was the last GP for you guys? So after it was internship moment, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was the last game project, and then we had after the summer. That's when we started our internships.
All right, cool.
So no game project 4, because this is how I read the question.
Yeah, no, we only had 2 years education and 3 game projects. But I think the class I was in was the last spring term class they had in Stockholm, so they changed it up a bit after our class.
Okay, yeah. Now we have GP4 as well. So.
Oh, all right. And
really nice.
if you were to think back, imagine that you are like a random person. You said it wasn't super clear that you wanted to make games, right, at the beginning. What piece of advice would you give to somebody that wants to think that likes games and say, hey, I might build a career in games, but I don't know direction. So would you recommend, for example, Futuregames? And moreover, even more generally speaking, what advice would you give to somebody that is not super decided if they want to do it or not, and how should they navigate this, unawareness?
I think if you like playing games, you will definitely enjoy making games. It is definitely worth trying. I think that's the advice I could give. I think Futuregames is a great place for that, where you can have a lot of different experiences. You can try a lot of different things in a safe environment where you are allowed to test stuff, which is, I think, it's the greatest strength. And if you have discipline to seek out knowledge, there is unlimited knowledge to acquire. So I think my biggest advice, though, is don't be afraid to try something new, because that's how Out of Sight came to be, and that's what got me and whole of my team our jobs that we have today. So even though you think you have the best game ever in your mind, is it realistic to make? That's the first question. Can you yourself make that game? If not, probably scope it down or try something else. But the biggest thing when you're a student, I think, is try to make something that makes you stand out from the crowd a bit. And for designers primarily, that's what I'm targeting here, is try to come up with something at least a bit unique so that you can stand out. It doesn't have to be unique as in the biggest open world kind of thing with this twist. Keep it small, right? So that exposes it more, but that's also the best way to make it stand out, I think, if you focus on this one feature or one mechanic or one theme. Yeah.
Start small and be creative on what you do. I like it.
Exactly.
Piotr, I don't know if you have another question. Otherwise, I have one that I would like to move on, because I'm kind of a talkative guy. So, and this is super interesting to me. So I can move on and go ahead. But if you want to speak somebody else, totally keen to it.
Yeah, I'm, naturally biased, and I live and breathe this school and this project. So this is why I also invited you, Mirko, like a, external point of view of
Yeah.
this what happened. For me, this is like a par excellence story of which I would like to replicate as well in future games in Warsaw. So students creating their project, creative project. And a niche project and getting traction response from the industry and being successful. So this is like ideal scenario. So I will definitely investigate it more. And we already are trying to replicate it by turning into incubator also in Warsaw. So try to incubate the best projects of our students. But I see Christian raised hand. So Christian, unmute yourself and ask question. So this is why
I love the frog, by the way.
don't.
It's a frog king. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Per. Also, hello, Mirko. Hello, Piotr. Uh, by the way, just before asking my question, when I started Future Games, Ali said that one pitch that always stuck with him was one that started. You always have first-person games or third-person games, but never a second second perspective. So yeah, I think it kind of became like an inspiration, and just seeing this project became to life is really impressive, as Piotr and Mirko says. So congratulations. And then my question is, as you said that it was GP free, so everyone was kind of finishing school and kind of moving on with their careers, finding an internship and all that stuff. Uh, when the teammates that didn't join, how did you manage the process with them after? Because since they created the game at the start, it's kind of also their idea, but they're not working it anymore. So do they get like shares after, or how did you guys manage that?
First of all, thank you for
No worries.
the nice words and for hearing the pitch. I was very happy with that first hook, the second person. But so technically, when we finished the school project, it was the school who, on paper, was the owner of the project. So the first thing we did was talk with Future Games, and they agreed, like without any strings attached, just to, of course, you guys made this. Of course, you have the ownership of this. So they wrote it over to us, and then we talked to the team members, and everyone was on board that if we're not joining you actively with this game, we are fine with taking a step back. So they are excluded from any kind of monetary like incentives. They were really kind of just say, here you like, it sucks that we can't join this, or like, but we'd rather do another thing. We don't want to take the risk, or I'm really happy with my internship. This is a dream studio I always wanted to be in, so I'm not gonna be in the way for you guys to try to achieve something here. Um, so it was a smooth journey for us taking that transition, honestly.
Oh, okay, perfect. And just a mini follow-up there. Since in the school we have the educational licenses in a way, so it's like, okay, we can do all our stuff, but then we cannot get like any monetary, I think, income from that. When you guys started at in the gang, you had to start everything from scratch, I assume, with new licenses.
Yes, we did. And that's also one of the benefits of going to partnering up with an established studio, is that they had a lot of these processes and they had a lot of these licenses for other projects that they're working on. So for them, we just say, okay, we're gonna need these and these and these licenses because that's what we're used to working with and how we can be the most efficient. And they say, okay. Um, Otherwise, if you're doing it on your own, then you need to be prepared that there is a cost to all of these things as well, right? Um,
Yeah.
but that's why having a publisher or a partner and everything makes it a lot easier for you,
Good. Thank you, Per. Super clear.
of course. I think I have one another question from Raisa.
Yeah. We got Raisa.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. About the process of like planning the game for like you showed us like you said the rocky road, but there was a lot of like achievements in the way that one thing lead to another. but then I think everyone will fall in the same first step, that is to make a game, but and to showcase, like put it out in the world. Like you did it on each, and then you started sending on events. It was only Sweden Gaming Conference, or was it more? And like, how would you say that it was like a good thing that you made for the game that was like, oh, I'm glad we made this because it made it a little easier for us to submit to the events. Like, how do you prepare this project to be able to be sent out in the world, like to more times, or uh, uh, raise their chances to get like a pitch or
Yeah.
a prize or something?
Yeah, so we applied to, I think it was Swedish Game Awards, of course, the Rookies and Game Dev World Championship. And we didn't have like a pitch deck at that time for the game. So what we submitted, of course, was some art. We made a nice poster for the game, and we had a demo, of course, of the game, packaged easy so they could just go and quickly download. And then I think already then you do submit like a pitch to the judges why they should try it out, why they should be inspired. And then I have something similar to what Christian was mentioning with the you've never heard about second person perspective before. And it stands out a bit, so gets them intrigued to want to try it. So finding that little niche and knowing how to phrase it really goes a long way. But there was not really any I don't have any best practice for how to make a nice entry to a competition, unfortunately. We just submitted what we had at the time. But as I said, we were not expecting for it to be received that way. So that's what's made it so nice.
I think that's also a good advice. That is like sometimes we kind of want to prepare a lot to send to these kind of events, and like we send off with what we had. It's also interesting because sometimes you want to, oh, maybe one poster is not enough, or like we don't have a pitch deck, like, but then you submit it anyway. So that's nice. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, super. Thank you. But I also think it's important then to point out that even though you want to do all these flashy stuff around the game, what it really comes down to once the judges get their hands on it, it's the game, right? That needs to carry its own weight. Yeah. So you can prep as much as you want, but once the game also needs to be good, right?
Absolutely.
Nice. All right. I think Athena.
Yeah, hello. Thanks for the talk, by the way. That's very insightful information from you. Yeah, so we also have a project that we would love to turn it into a games just like out of sight. So I was thinking, if you were to approach continuation for your project without a publisher, how would you have done it? Would you guys continue it if the gang didn't scout you guys?
We probably would have looked for other investors first. That would be the first step, or like other investors, other partners, because there is a lot of people who are looking for new games, interesting things coming up from students, from hobby devs. So that would be the first thing we would do. If we didn't close the deal with the gang, we would kept searching for someone else. That's the first step. If we didn't get that, I'm doubtful that we would have continued, honestly, on our own, because we had this, do we let go of our internships for this project thing that we were battling with. But in hindsight, it would have been the best thing to do either way, just to keep going, right? With the look of the industry and some people getting laid off and stuff, which is very unfortunate. So going that route would have been the best for us, but we would have need to secure money because, right, we have been studying for a few years. Bank accounts are not looking the best. So funding is required for us was required for us to be able to do this on our own. A possible scenario is that you, like, while being students, if we had time or while we found some other stuff, you keep going on your spare time, but then it's very hard to coordinate a team of 6 or 8 people and having everyone actually put their spare and free time into something, especially when they're at another studio and have a chance of getting a job there.
Thank you.
All right, we got some questions from the chat. I guess we can run through them. What were the requirements to register the game to the Sweden Game Conference? You tried sending the game to more events?
Okay, it was me that made the question, and
Oh, yeah,
I decided to talk instead.
My bad. All right.
I think
Sorry,
we
sorry,
jump to Dian,
Yeah.
right? Because the rest we covered. And Dian is, as I understood, is our student who will be joining us on game producer course in Warsaw. So, yeah, and the question is, how did you tackle and overcome the production challenges at the first stage before joining the gang? Because then you got like a professional producer, right, on your team, but how did you cope with this pair?
It was
Share your
again
trauma with us.
so before joining the gang, it was always I think you need to have one person that is more driving. For us, it was the case. Everyone was talking, everyone like participated, but I took it upon myself to be the driver of like the face outwards, if you will, for the project, doing these pitches and yeah, writing them and so that part was not about the game itself anymore. It was more about marketing and showing it, and then we didn't need the whole team for that. And it got it a bit more efficient, I think, for just one person to do that aspect. But if you need marketing material and stuff, that's a different thing. But once we joined the gang, it was different as well because, like I said, we brought in this very experienced producer, and for a while it was a bit of a clash, honestly, because they had a lot of experience and wanted to do things a certain way, and we are in our mindset still just a bunch of students, right? And we are used to working together, but not in a professional scenario. So they took some time figuring that shift out, and that's why it also we ended up making the transition where I got the role of game lead for the whole development. So we had a producer who set up the large large milestones, stuff like that, and made sure that we had the funding, made sure we have the right people. But I was the one who's focused on the actual production of the product. So making sure that we have focus and we have our sprints, we have our tasks, everyone know what they're doing, everyone's focused on the same game, and prioritizing what features roll out when, stuff like that. So we kind of came to yeah, we found a really good balance there where we could still have our mindset of making games even in this professional scenario, but also finding the professional structure of how to make a game.
There's another question from Sophie. Did you guys ever consider putting the game just directly on Steam yourself? If not, why not?
No, we didn't really. I'm assuming you mean the school project. No, we did not. Because again, it kind of happened very fast, and once we were in school, we were just still in that mindset of, oh, this is just a school project. It's not a real game, right? And then it all took off with the award shows, and then it was talk of making it something bigger. And then we kind of treated it as this school project thing that was really successful, but we wanted it to be more, right? So we didn't want to sell it short or like spoil anything, if you will, by putting it out too early. It was already on itch, so we never took it down from there, so people could always try that version as well. But yeah, it never really considered putting it on Steam actually. But yeah, it wasn't it was just a 20-minute game, so it didn't want to take money for people playing it or anything as well.
All right.
I'm about to
And
ask some question, but I need to conceptualize it a bit, because this aspect which you touch right now, Per, is about this awareness, how sellable the game is, right? Which commercial, at which phase you can start to commercialize it. What's the first viable product that you can offer? And it's always hard to assess, right? You have these ambitions, you believe in this project, but still, will it fly at this stage, or does it need a partner? Does it need like another 6 months of development? We try to touch these aspects with our students and make them more aware of it. Mirko is helping us also with some business intelligence and understanding what sells, what doesn't sell, right? What are requirements from the market also.
Yeah, it's also it's always very hard. Like I still don't have a full grasp of that stuff yet. But I think at the end of the day, what's the mindset shift you need to think about, or you can start to think about already as a student, is that unfortunately games are products, right? They need to be sold in order for you to make money. And that's a bit boring when you come in and you have these dreams and ambitions that you want to make the best games. But then you realize, oh wait, it needs to match these people, or I can't do this because these people want like it in a certain way. But it's also healthy sometimes to try to challenge those boundaries a bit. But at the end of the day, it is a product that needs to somewhere, somehow find a market.
On this regard, I have an interesting take, because I recently listened to a podcast with the CEO and one of the founders of Zynga. Zynga, guys, is one of the most successful mobile gaming company in the world. And they have a very unique approach on how to make games and sell them. So basically what they do is they are very big, so they can do it. They have the financial resources. But basically, they are testing more than 1,000 games per month, something like that, like an incredible amount of projects very early. They try to put them in the market super fast. And based on the metrics, they analyze if this game is worth developing or not. So the idea is, we don't know, like what we believe is going to be a successful game, we don't really know until we let the people play it, even if it's a very preliminary version of the game. And they realize that just maybe, if I'm not mistaken, 0.4% of these games are super successful. So imagine you create 100 games and just one of these 100 is a very good one. So it's very limited, the possibility that you can create a super successful game. So what you did was super smart, because you say, instead of spending 2 years in create the game that you think is going to be the best game ever, but then you launch it and nobody really cares because the market is going through different ways, it's better to create a very small prototype, release it, let it try to people and see the reaction. If people like it, good, let's make it more. But if they don't like it, let's pivot into a different game or project fast. And this is how they immediately understand which game is successful, by making a lot of stuff, test it. If the market response is good, great. If it's not, we kill it, move on the next project, which is controversially what usually game developers do, like, because I really enjoy making a game and I want to make this kind of game, but maybe this game is not what people want. You need to make a game that people want to play.
Yeah, we would not have been able to get this opportunity with the gang if we hadn't put it out on itch first and gotten all this attention to it, like actual eyeballs on it saying people are interested in this product. If we didn't have that support, I don't think anyone would have listened to us, even with the great second person pitch.
Yeah, 100%. I
Really
agree.
worth noting down. Yes, you
But
build your audience, right? Build your community if you want to pitch and secure investor.
question, which is very common, because nowadays the industry sadly is going through a complicated time, right? It's public knowledge that Microsoft announced a big layoff, and it's complicated, the gaming industry nowadays. So I was struggling when I was a student, and I didn't have a clear vision of what I wanted to do and my future and everything. And I believe that maybe people there want to study game development or want to work in games, especially nowadays, they're feeling like this sense of uncertainty and am I good enough? Like, will I be able to work in the industry that I really like? So, and even for me, because I suffer from imposter syndrome a lot, I always question myself if I'm good enough, if I'm gonna make it or not. I'm kind of this kind of guy, right? First off, if it's ever happened to you to think that way, to have some uncertainty and think moments where you were not sure. And even more importantly, for someone that wants to study or wants to pursue this career, which advice would you give to try to battle this feeling of, maybe I'm not good enough for this?
I don't think I have ever met anyone with that in the games industry that doesn't have imposter syndrome.
It's true, so true.
I have it like every day, right? But I think the shift there is that you can't let it scare you or stop you from trying or stop you from learning specifically, right? Like I was into this track before. Like if you don't know something, you can always figure it out, right? Don't be afraid of this problem that's in front of you. Like you can always ask people, research, right? And just give it time. And every game that is being made is a different game, right? Sure, a lot of them share stuff, a lot of similarities, but nobody is going about making the same game twice. Even if it's the same game, they're not going to make it the same way twice. So you never know. Like every day, people have different challenges, and they need to just solve them, right? That's game development, solving problems. Um, so yeah, never feel like you're not good enough or you're not the best in the class, right? Because that's not what it's about. It's can you solve the problems that you're facing? Or if not, how do you find a way to solve it, right? Can you find a different way? Can you ask someone? Can you take help? Someone will be able to do that, or together. That's the best part about future games and about working in games is you are not alone in this, right? So you always have people around you. Um, yeah, but it is hard and it's easy to feel down if you like make an assignment and someone has a much funnier or nicer thing than you have. Don't get discouraged from it. Like take it as an opportunity to learn. Okay, maybe next time I will try something more goofy, or maybe next time I will do something like this. Um, so trying different stuff is the way to success, I think. Because if you're the person who only makes shooters, right? That's the only thing you ever work on is FPS mechanics, then you are very really yeah, then you're probably gonna have a harder time unless you really find that ace internship at the biggest studio. But as we see now, that's probably not a safe bet anymore. Um, so experiment, I think. And if it's not good, don't worry. It can be if you keep going, or try something else, right? But don't be afraid of trying. So don't, yeah, imposter syndrome is a real thing. Everyone has it, and nothing to worry about.
Yeah, 100%. And what really worked for me, but this is my personal experience here, is try to set a goal that you will really be happy in case you will like succeed, but not just set your happiness based on reaching that goal. Is that like enjoying this journey or reaching that goal, and set yourself in a position where you say, I cannot fail because it's not gonna happen. Like if it's gonna take me 10 years, someday, one way or another, is gonna happen. And if you stick to it consistently, it will happen. Like having this mindset helped me a lot on this. But yeah, that was my take. And Raisa just asked us, do you think second person perspective and camera can be a new genre, in your opinion?
I think it could. It's a very interesting thing to do. Like when we were researching for Out of Sight in the school project, even we found one of the only examples we found was a game called San Francisco Driver, and they had one level where because it's a racing game, which is strange for a second person perspective thing, but you're racing, and when you turn right, it's the car in front of you that turns. It's not you. It's the one you're looking at, right? So it's very tricky. So there are some people who are experimenting with this, and there was a YouTube video blowing up a couple of months ago with someone trying like a CCTV kind of setup. The old Resident Evil games, they are like, are those second person? Maybe, but it's not a different character. So, but there is definitely a lot more you can do with this perspective, and I wish we had more time. I hope we get to continue this journey because there's a lot of untapped potential, I think, in this genre or this perspective rather.
Do you think about Out of Sight 2, part 2?
I'm thinking about everything. I
Be my
have to,
last
and I want to.
question.
Right? It's this amazing feeling when you release a game and it's like great player response to it. You can't help yourself but thinking, okay, but how can I make it even better, right? Um, so yeah, never got content, even though like people like the game, because it's hard to not see your own failures. Like when I look at the game, I say, oh, I want to do this, fix this. So now I know people like the first game. What if I make a second one even better, or we, the team, right? That would be nice.
That's nice. Audience, do you have any questions? Because I think, Mirko, you covered all of yours. And what was the biggest challenge after transitioning into working in a professional setting compared to working together with your classmates at Futuregames? So this, yeah, good question. Shifting to this professional setup.
Biggest challenge, I think something that I wasn't expecting when I went into the professional environment was politics. There's a lot of politics in game development as well, especially like it's a part of the production side of things mostly, where like you want people to stay focused on what they're supposed to work on. So maybe every single bug that comes up or every single problem that we are facing doesn't need to affect everyone at the same time, right? So it's a little shift there where you want to make the best game as fast as you can when you're a student. But then once you're in a big production environment, you need to consider that, okay, we are not the only ones a part of this project anymore. There's a lot of people, especially the stakeholders, the like founders or the CEOs that they have requests of you, they have deadlines you need to follow, and they might throw curveballs at you that you never expected. So you need to be very adaptive, I would say, whenever you're in a professional environment to handling things like being swept under your feet. And then you need to shift focus very fast onto something else for a while. And then you can come back to whatever you were working on. And vice versa. You also need to be prepared to say, no, I need to focus on this now because people will be pulling in you from different directions, saying, I need to do this, I need to do this. No, but I need to finish this week, right? So I think that's the biggest like thing for me at least was the shift between just having our group of 8 people to being an organization with over 200 employees, and we are responsible for this project that everyone has expectations of. Yeah, but again, nothing could have prepared me for that. It's just something you have to do in order to just get a feel of it. But important thing there is even though it doesn't matter how much imposter I felt at times, just it's a new problem. I will tackle it, you know.
Great. There is another question from Dean, and you can tell it's producer asking. In your studies, did you cover much about market research in the gaming sector, consumer and competitor analysis, and using that as a basis to develop and pitch your product? Or was this something you learned more about throughout the making out of Sight?
For me, not personally, it wasn't. We didn't have those kind of classes. I was doing the game design class, and I said just had to put on this hat for the game projects. But you always have like it was after the Game Awards where we had this guy who helped us out with the pitches. He had great insight into all of these things. Stefan Lampinen was his name. Really nice guy, but he helped us a lot with these things, like not really specifically going into stuff as like target the audience because we had a lot of that already sensed out with this early version that we put on itch, right? So that's also an incentive to put the game out early because you can kind of feel where it's gonna land and get an understanding from there. So yeah, not in my education, unfortunately. Would have liked to have it for sure. But as we started making the game out of sight, we had a kind of a long pre-production because scaling up the student project to make it into a full feature game, that was probably our biggest challenge that we faced. Because it was a good gimmick for 20 minutes. How do we make a full feature game of this, right? So that's definitely something we had to tackle then, and it's gonna be okay. So how do we want people to play this? What kind of people do we expect playing this? Like what's their mindset going into it, and how do we want to leave them? So yeah, it's a lot of consumer and things, and we're looking at similar games, Little Nightmares, Inside. Like what are they doing that works? What can we do better than they did? Yeah, so it's you do that every day when you're working, right? If you're trying to make something new, trying to come up with a feature or trying to find inspiration, you will inevitably research other games and see what people are talking about. So it happened both while we were making the pitches, unintentionally while we made the school project, and then once we made the real thing, very on a daily basis.
Here I can only add that this has a bit changed now. In Futuregames, we try to inspire students to do this research, to be active, to find, like make informed decisions and base them on some assessment of what can sell, what can be a successful game. And producers' role is also very important. Game producers, students in this process. We have another question from Salama. Can you walk us through how you and your team came up with the idea for Out of Sight?
Yes, for sure. So I already mentioned that we started off by finding this article that mentioned second person perspective. And that really got us thinking. And at the time, I was looking through like a bunch of portfolios because you also want to make something that's cool, you want to make something that's going to stand out. Checking future or students from Future Games from previous classes, what have they made, and like who is working where now? Like, is there any inspiration we can achieve here? But what really unlocked the potential of Out of Sight was, and I don't know how this characters, I don't remind how they came to be, but it was when we figured out like, but oh, what if? Because we knew we wanted to do something second person perspective because that's a cool thing, and we felt we found something there. So how do we translate that into a video game mechanic? And then once we found out this teddy bear, like this nanny cam, like a little girl and her teddy bear, then the rest just yeah took off on its own. We realized, okay, this has to be a horror game. This has to be a very tight-knit atmospheric experience. It just made sense for this mechanic where you're a girl and you're seeing from your teddy bear's eyes. So once we came up with that mechanic, the whole game gave way to itself. We felt like we just had to do that justice in a way.
Okay, thank you. What was the process in deciding the overall length of the final game? Asks Leo.
It's kind of we did some back and forth like testing, but and some theory guessing. But very early on, we decided that in order for us to, or like we want this product to be something very casual that you can pick up and finish in maybe one or two sittings. That was a very early mindset that we adopted, and it really worked to the core of the game because when you sit down, we want you to be able to finish it within a certain time. So it's not we threw every notion about replayability, stuff like that, out the window very early on because we want this to be a very tight experience where you sit down and you immerse yourself for a few hours and then you're done with it. So that was something we adopted very well. And it's also, of course, very influenced by what are we realistically able to make in our team in this time span that we're given. So even though we could have wanted to do like 10, 12 hours, that was never really on the table because we knew that we are the ones, we in this team, in this room, we are the ones who have to make it, right? What can we realistically put out there? But it's also like already we want this. That was one of the core aspects when we sat down in the pre-production. How do we want this to be experienced? In what mindset, in what setting do we imagine people playing this? And to our very happy eyes, it is mostly that way. We find people sitting down, finishing it in one or two sittings, and enjoying that experience.
Leo says, thank you. Okay, guys, if there are no further questions, I don't know, Mirko, if you want to wrap up. From my side, again, kudos for the whole team. And I will be, following next steps and success of this game, and we'll be also posting about it because we feel it's like the dream fulfilled. So I want to inspire other students. I hope you can also join us one day with some lecture, maybe remotely or in person for Warsaw. Mirko, on your side?
Pretty much covered. Like, it was super interesting, especially for one guy that always loved playing, but I never developed. So the creative process on how, as a student, you managed to pull this out was super inspiring. So really, thank you so much. That's a story to share. And yeah, looking forward to playing the second chapter then. It's gonna be released.
Yeah, super nice. Thank you for having me. So much fun talking about this, and really happy to get this opportunity as well to talk to aspiring students at Futuregames as well. It's a very unique thing to work in game development. So really keep trying. It's the best. And yeah, talking about this stuff is always fun. So yeah, whenever you want me to come on again, I'll be happy to do it.
Super.
Going to Warsaw would be amazing as well.
Gonna pick you up on that. And guys, go make your own super cool game like Per. So I want to play your games. So send me over to me if you build something cool. I'm curious. Okay.
Your
Super
audience,
nice.
I hope we'll have more cases like Out of Sight soon to share with you. We are waiting like zealously here. Per shared his LinkedIn, so don't be a stranger. Invite Per to your contacts. And guys,
feel free to connect.
Have a great Friday and a great weekend, and for some, a great holiday.
Have a good one, guys, and thanks, Per, again. Thanks, Piotr, for inviting me over. It was super fun.
Thank you,
ciao, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Have a nice weekend.
Bye. Ciao.
Bye.